Hello all, this is Coach Rob of Centenarian Lifestyle. I have a documentary here about the legend John Salley, on why plant-based diet changed his life. And I just went through it. It's very interesting, and it's a great story. So let's get to it. Let's listen to how someone was in a career, and his career was going nowhere, but he had to do one thing: change his lifestyle. So let's listen to John Salley.
Another Detroit break, 3-on-2. Salley. We're back with NBA champion and wellness advocate John Salley.
A vegan diet changed my life.
What would you say was the most surprising benefit?
I'm as strong as you. I'm going to run as long as you, and I'm not breaking down. You have electric body, you got to put electric food inside of it, nothing dead. We need people to rattle the fence. Animals should live, and you shouldn't be a coffin. Plant-based diet keeps you alive. Other diet keep you in the hospital. My mother lived to 96 years old, and her doctor said, keep your son away from my patients. Everything you eat has protein. Yes. What we need as humans is fiber.
You really believe the steaks and chicken cause that kind of health problems for us?
I really do. If I'm going to live this life and this is the only body I have, I'm going to take care of it.
Take it right back to the beginning. So for people who might not know your story, we're wondering, when did you adopt a plant-based diet and what was the turning point for you?
Scientists at Harvard just witnessed something extraordinary. During a routine study of sound frequencies, they discovered
It was 1991. I had a really traumatic breakup. Dr. Drew Pookrum was living in Detroit at the time. She's in Atlanta now. And she told me I was full of it. I don't even know how they got me into her office / this beautiful house in Detroit. Colon therapy was upstairs in an all lavender room. And the lady giving me the colonic was 70 something years old, and I didn't know she was above 40. And she was explaining how long she had been doing colonics. So Dr. Jewel Pookrum said I was full of it and made sure to eliminate most of it. And he put me on a microbiotic diet to start. The craziest thing was I was 235 pounds. I went down to 219. And there was shorter guys that were heavier than I was. But I was jumping out of the gym. Energy, adult acne, supposed to be 27 years old, went away. Body odor, foot smell. That was tremendous. Because, you just leave it up to you. Well, I'm an athlete. No, those are toxins coming out of your pores. From then, I had a great doctor who was a kinesiologist named Dr. Radke. His daughter still works in Detroit. He had started the Michigan Center for Holistic Living. And I didn't know anything about that. And we were talking food. He was, a flesh eater. But he spoke about the great parts of what I needed in my body. I had a chef who would cook all of the greasy foods. You have a chef and you think, well, I'm getting great food, but I was still eating all the death and all the oils, and it wasn't working for me. So she no longer worked for me. And I wound up getting a plant-based diet, and my life changed tremendously. The parasites that were in me from that bad relationship, as they would say in my community, the hooks that were in me were no longer in me. I saw things differently. I've been around tons of people who say the craziest things about grass-fed food and why you have to have a dead animal. And sometimes I agree with them that, cavemen probably in the code, but we're not cavemen any longer. Well, a great doctor once said, there's no need for any.
I'd just like to interrupt. I love listening to his story. It's similar to mine. I couldn't perform very well And then once I went on a plant-based diet, SOS free, my whole life came back. I became me again. I wasn't irritable. I could just enjoy my life with people. I wasn't reacting. I wasn't getting upset. It was just really, really enjoyable to be me again. And so I'm enjoying listening to him. He was struggling playing basketball. He was a great basketball player, and he even got better once he got into flying over the hoop, so to speak, with his plant-based diet. So, everything gets better when you eat healthy. And he is telling his story exactly like my story. Everything just got better. So let's listen to a little bit more. And this is a great story.
Anything for an animal inside a human body. And I agree. Science is science.
When you opened your eyes, when the curtain lifted in 91, that process just happened pretty abruptly, right? You didn't have to go back, or were there times where you dabbled back and you were like, no, this doesn't vibe with me?
I did. I used to go fishing. When I got traded to Miami, I would go fishing. And I would think, well, if I go out, an hour outside of the Keys, and I'm going to get real fish, and that's going to give me something. And got to the point where it did. And I really paid attention to my body because I realized they were paying me to stay in shape. Playing basketball was, the caveat, but I was paid to stay in shape. I was paid to, when they bring a thoroughbred to the track, the thoroughbred is not there to have you pat them, it's there to run. So I took care of my body, and I could tell if I ate stone crab, if I had any kind of fish, how I was feeling. And the craziest thing was, I kept having muscle spasms when I played since high school. And I remember a guy kept saying, "What's your diet?" While he was trying to, they were like, "Well, you're so less muscles, and your lower back muscles are weak, and you're a jumper, and you tweak it, and this, that." After getting massage, going to chiropractor, and having acupuncture, the guy just asked me what I ate. And I said, well, in the morning I have 2 patties, I have eggs, and if I got time, I get some cream cheese on English muffin. Then for lunch, I would have a turkey sub and a sundew. And then before practice, I go have a bagel just to have something on my side. He was like, so I didn't hear water, I didn't hear vegetables. I said, well, I had lettuce. So it took until I got to Kalanick in 91, and that was early. So it took until I was 90. I was always having muscle spasms throughout the year. So when I cleaned my colon, I realized compacted colon was the problem. My body was trying to do one thing at a time, not 8,000. Like, one, we have no nutrients because you eat nothing that has any nutrition balance or value that is essential for the body to perform. For me, living a plant-based diet, I'm 60 years old now, has changed everything. I have teammates that call me when things don't go particularly right in their older age. Every day I'm eating from the garden, and it felt unbelievable. I lost about 5 years, so I'm about 55 years old now. So if I go back, you get 5 years younger.
I mean, it sounds like, John, like you got a lot of pushback from your own body that being a flesh eater wasn't working. You saw the empirical evidence, the data that flesh eating is not working. But did you get any pushback from the people in your life that were flesh eaters?
Yeah, my mom is a great cook, right? She was wonderful. She cooked all of the Southern cuisine that we love. And all that she knew how to cook. And she was a kosher caterer on top of that. So I've been in the food game my whole life as a server, preparing things, breaking things down. We had a hot dog stand. When I tell you, when she was 82 and had a heart attack, it was during the Super Bowl. And my sister-in-law noticed it. and they get it there in time. And now, I don't know if anyone knows, but usually when women have heart attacks, it's fatal. That's because you guys have a heart. That's why men can have 4 and 5. They don't have a heart. But the heart of a woman. And I fly to Atlanta, and she's sitting there, tubes, and they're talking about, statins. And I said, hey, do you want to live? And she said, what? Yeah, of course. I said, you sure? Yeah. I said, well, if you stay here with them, you're not going to live. So you need to tell me where all the insurance things that are, the burial stuff. And, it was nice knowing you. And she was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I said, but if you come to Los Angeles, if you let me feed you and we work on you. So she came for 6 months. She went back to Atlanta, 20 pounds lighter. She's a Jehovah's Witness, so she's walking, knocking on people's doors in her 80s. She lost 20 pounds. She no longer had any blockages. And her doctor said, keep your son away from my patients.
I'll be out of business.
Right. And so when my brother got sick, she goes, go live with Johnny. He's going to feed you a whole bunch of vegetables you ain't never heard, seeds and nuts. And he ain't got nothing in the house. If you're going to try to get a snack, you better sneak out. Well,
cheers to that.
Not going to be any death here. So if you go, man, I want a snack. I was like, oh, man, we got celery cut up. It's a celery. Yeah, we got celery cut up in there, man. You grab a couple of celery sticks and here's some sunflower seeds. Some sunflower seeds. Yeah, you want some watermelon? Depends on the year. Like, I'm big into that. He goes, man, you got anything to drink besides water? I said, we got cherry juice. I caught him one time. He was like, I'm going for my walk. I said, I'll go with you. No, I got it, man. I'm speed walking. And he was gone a little long. I didn't say anything. He comes back. He rushes in his room. He goes, man, I got to go to the bathroom, man. That was a long walk. As soon as he closes the door, I go in the room and I search and I find licorice and I find Jolly Ranchers. And so I take them out of the packages and I just leave the packages on the bed. And I take the candy and I throw it away. And all I hear him curse at me from a distance. No, man, I'm just not going to give you a drug. So he came with 7 cancers and he left with 1, which is prostate cancer, which every man is going to have in his life or die from. And we were right on top of that. So he's still alive. And my mother lived to 96 years old.
Wow. How does the movement and the plant-based community compare when you started in the 90s to today?
It used to be styrofoam and barbecue sauce. That's the way it tasted. It was a lot of hippie food, man. But listening to Dick Gregory since the 70s, him walking across America twice, him telling me not to run, but to walk briskly. He had the Dick Gregory diet, which was powdered, really, they called it a protein shake, but it was just vegetables because he knew the community wasn't getting good vegetables in the community. And so he thought of a way, it was called a Bahamian diet. It was not very tasty, I would say that. And a lot of it was, I don't think they understood sea salt. How important a little bit of cinnamon, some clove.
Feel like flavor. Just give me something.
I'm still human, so you have to flavor it. But I also was around in 2008. Just to give you an example, I went to the Natural Food Expo in Boston, and it was in one hall. Now, the Natural Food Expo, which is in March here, is the entire convention center, the place they play sports, the hotels. They have a new section. Like, so many people jump into the business now because being natural and healthy, and that's where they can make their money. And then I go there and I read some of the ingredients and I go, why'd you put that in there? And they were like, well, I needed to just that happen. I said, well, that's not that good. That's a preservative that shouldn't be in there. Well, we got to preserve it. It's all natural. You just made it not all natural.
I just want to interject there. Like, something going through my mind, right, is the last 5 years we see veganism. A lot of people pull out of it. Like Damian Lillard is an example, NBA player who used to be plant-based and now isn't. lots of other individuals aren't. Do you think it's because like the detractors of people that promote meat and omnivorous diets and carnivore diets, do you think they're seeing that these plant-based ingredients are becoming more unhealthy? Do you think that's kind of one of the chinks in the armor of the plant-based movement?
I don't know if it's a chink. I look at as people are on heroin, and vegan food is like being on methadone. It's a step down from main until we all get to that point where we're in Costa Rica eating the food raw, and right there, it takes steps. I'm a certified health coach, and in health coaching we say small hinges open big doors. So there's steps, right? And when people fall off the wagon, just like if you were raised in the church, eventually you come back to it. My first part of doing any of this was for self-preservation. It wasn't for the animals, right? It took me to understand that. So, like I said, in 91, all the way to 2005, I was a lying vegetarian. I was figuring out ways to do things. So, and that's why I don't say vegetarian. That's why now I say plant-based, because it encompasses veganism. To me, the veganism part of caring for the animals. As a beautiful, wonderful member of PETA, I care for the animals. I got to this consciousness from not being vibrating on a low level.
What do you think of the carnivore diet, John?
Oh, I think it's great for lions and tigers and bears. Oh my.
Oh my.
It's great for carnivores. I think the carnivore diet is great for carnivores. But as a human, I don't have the ability or the digestive system to do what carnivores do.
And that's because there's copious amounts of evidence that showcase that it is not designed for us, whether that be in that resulting in non-communicable diseases like heart disease, stroke, diabetes, high cholesterol, or just the fact that we don't have the gear.
If I had the enzymes in my stomach that digest that type thing, and I had the jaws that go up and down that tear meat and eat it raw, I think the carnivore diet is great for carnivores. But as a human, I don't think so, or feel so.
That is absolutely fair enough. I've got a question, because you were talking about how you were you called it a lying vegetarian before. If you could go back in time and adopt the sort of plant-based diet you have now from the beginning, what would your ideal game day meal look like?
It's crazy you say this, because they say it's not good to think that because it makes you depressed, but it doesn't make me depressed. Because I go back and I go, okay, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. So if I'm going to plant a tree right now, I know in 20 years is the benefit. I get the shade on the fruit. So if I were to go back now, the difference would be I would find a Pilates studio in 1985. I would find a big enough sauna to do yoga inside of. I would literally stretch and find ways of getting as much magnesium and copper in my system. I probably wouldn't have a bald head. I would have dreads down to my back by now. And I would do so much in calisthenics and meditation that I probably wouldn't want to play basketball.
John, what would you be eating? She asked you, what would you eat?
Well, said that because I would be eating all that knowledge, and I would eat. I don't think if I knew what I know now when I was 21 years old. They used to give me string beans and steak before every game at Georgia Tech. So you wonder why I was in foul trouble and was so angry and couldn't move my feet. You locked me in. But I would In the morning, it would be papaya. And about 11 o'clock, it would be watermelon. So from 11 to 2 would be as much fruit as I can possibly eat. And then later on in the afternoon, around 4:30 or 5, I would have a lot of chickpeas. I would have hummus, and I would have falafel. I know it sounds so crazy, I'm telling you this, but as many grapes as I possibly can have before I was about to play, and it would be a day of coconut water. By the time it's ready to go to the game and I go to the bathroom first, whoever's in front of me, I'm on a half-empty stomach. So my brain does not have to think about, my body doesn't have to digest anything, and I'm using pure energy and fuel.
There we go. Now that's the answer.
Fair enough.
Of course, especially on a game day. I mean, a quick story, how I was first introduced to even any of this is Adrian Dantley. We were in Milwaukee, and he said, "Rookie, I'm gonna buy," and they used to put a vet with a rookie in the same room. He said, "I'm gonna buy you lunch." And so I said, "All right." I thought we were going downstairs and eat. He goes, "No, order." I said, "I can order anything I want." He said, "Yeah, I got a cheeseburger with fries and a strawberry shake." And he looked at me and he goes, "All right, give me a sandwich and a soup. And at 4:30, bring me another sandwich and soup. And make sure I got tomatoes and avocado." Now we're in Milwaukee. Avocado, I'm from Brooklyn. I've never heard of avocado. And he had onions and I don't even know what flesh he had, but it wasn't a lot. It wasn't at all. And I got in the game. Now I'm a fast 7-footer. And he wakes me up, he goes, "Rook, don't forget my bag," because I had to carry his bag over. He said, "No, I got my bag because I'm going over early to warm up." Now, we didn't have to be there till 6 o'clock. The stadium's across the street. We walk across the street to go to the stadium. I wake up at 5 like I had never been asleep. AD is already gone, warming his body up. And when I get in the game, there was a guy named Jack Sigma and Randy Brewer. They were the two slowest people in the league, and they were beating me up and down court. It had me looking like a fool. And I sat down, and the coach is yelling at me, supposed to be this, "Oh my God, you can't guard this old man. He's 90 years old." I sit down, I'm frustrated, and he goes, "Hey, Rook, how's that cheeseburger helping you?" He said, "Making you feel good right now. Strawberry shake is really showing up on that court." And that was it. I learned then your body works best when it's doing one thing at a time. Just like a car, you can't hit the gas and the brake and expect the car to move in the direction you want to go. It's going to move, but it can't go anywhere.
I mean, it just sounds like there were so many great things that happened as you started this shift. But what would you say was the most surprising benefit you experienced with the shift to a plant-based diet?
I'm 255 pounds. I played at 261 and 250. My weight is stabilized. This is a 1964 Mustang Sally. And I don't have rims on it. I didn't put extenders. I didn't add extra mufflers. It looked like I haven't driven it, but I have. So that's the mentality. The mentality is take care of this spaceship you were given. This is a spaceship. This universe is going on inside. 73 trillion cells are should be working together.
I mean, I think here's the thing, John. When we see it in action, we see it in your life. Some people be like, well, that's anecdotal. That's John's experience. But I think it's so much more than that. And because you've had such great interactions with so many high-end athletes, what do you feel like is the most common myth or misconception that you've come across in terms of with what it means to be a plant-based athlete? Because I'm sure you have a lot of flesh-eating athletes that are like, no, that's not true.
Listen, there was a documentary, and when they saw the documentary, a lot of guys realized the foods they were putting in, the fats that were getting into their blood, knowing that the more oxygen they had in their blood, the less oils they had, the better they played and felt, and how their body performed. They knew this. When athletes say, man, I watched that, and it sold me a dream.
So I just want to listen to his story for a little bit, and it's really remarkable. He got a clue on that he could perform better, and he could help out his mother, and he went for it, and he did both of them. And so it's a great story because he listened to his body. He knew he could be better, and so he listened to a couple of people in his life, and he tried something different, and he went on a plant-based diet, just like I did. Took me a while until I was 52 to make the change. He did it during his peak time, 26, 27 years old. So that was good. And, we all have to make a decision to change our lifestyle to what it's gonna be best performing. We have to perform at our best all the time. I mean, that's what you want to do. You want to be the best version of yourself 100% of the time. How can you when you're in pain? How can you when you feel bloating or you don't have the energy to do what you want to do? It's a problem. So you have to really make a lifestyle change. It's like A plus B equals C. A, let's say, is decision making, B being lifestyle, and C being undesired behavior. Okay, what are you gonna choose? Stay with that undesired behavior or change A or B, which is decision making and or lifestyle? So you got to make a change. Not change your personality, who you are, which is your caring, sharing, and respectful self, where you love unconditionally. That's who we all are socially, without our dysfunctions from childhood, which can be blocked with pleasing, proving, and pushing away, which we use those defense mechanisms to make it through childhood. We want to just be ourselves and just love on people and learn and share our wisdom, our life experiences. And this is what he did, helping his mother, giving her an option. She said, yeah, I'll choose my son. And look, she increased 9 or 10 years or so. So that's the key, is give back once you learn. And he's a certified health coach just like me. So, you learn as you go. And when I took the course, I went to the Institute of Integrated Nutrition, and I learned a lot about social being a little bit, how to have patience for people a little more than what I was learning by the time I was, in my 60s. So, I'm just happy to hear his story that there's a lot more people joining the movement of plant-based. And we were designed to eat plants, not animal products. And we weren't really cavemen. Now, back then, we hardly ate meat. If you look at the bones of 100,000 years ago, or even 1 million years ago, we had 99% of our bone makeup after it was tested. Well, back then, it was 99% fiber, 1% animal product. So that tells you a story that we weren't hunters, we were gatherers, and we were. If we're pruning each other, we're picking, ants or bugs off us and we put it in our mouths just like we see the apes and the gorillas do. probably where we got the 1%. I mean, if there was, all right, so we couldn't eat meat. All right, 100,000 years ago is when we discovered fire. So we couldn't swallow meat, couldn't do it unless we could chew it and break it down. So you have to cook it. So we know we didn't eat meat over 1 million years ago. We did not. So we weren't good hunters. I mean, you look at a tiger, a lion, you look at a true hunter. We don't even come close. We're too slow. We don't have the coordination. We don't have the teeth to rip into it. We don't have the hearing. We don't have the smell to hunt. We don't have the great eyesight they got. All right? So they're true hunters. We're make-a-believe hunters. Make-a-believe hunters. That's what we are. You know, history books say, oh, we were this. No, we weren't. The proof is in the bones. So we want to just say, look, we're not made to eat meat. And if you have addictions, see me in my community. I'll find something that works for you, for your price, for your knowledge base, for everything, and make sure you get educated. Because I got a lot of material over there. If you become a member, you got permission to get into a lot of information that can help you out. For $20, might be worth it. And if you need a little bit more information, I have courses, and I also have free community courses and one-on-ones. You know, and you know, you don't have to buy anything. You know, you get a free 15-minute with me. I'll help you find what you're looking for. Just like John Salley did. He helped his mother. I helped my mother. I helped to reverse about 12 diseases in under 6 months. She was wise. She couldn't even walk. I had her walking. She was doing really good. But when I left, she went back to the toxic and deficient foods, and she soon, 4 years later, died. I lost her a few months ago. But anyways, I enjoyed John Salley's story. I hope you did too. And you can do the same. And there's ways to get off of addictive foods, because the addiction is the issue why we stay sick. So you want to stop that dopamine flow for toxic foods. You want the dopamine flow for healthy foods. So thank you very much for sharing this time with me. I hope to see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.